In today's web lesson, we're going to look at some of the features and capabilities of XLQ2 when combined with EODHD data. This video is for people who use XLQ or XLQ2, as well as EODHD data users and those who are new to both. Why would someone want to consider XLQ? First of all, it's an incredibly affordable plugin that you can use with your Excel workbooks and spreadsheets, and it retrieves real-time financial data. The data providers that are available are many. Some are free, some require subscription. You can get all kinds of technical and fundamental data, and you can combine Excel and XLQ formulas for a customized workbook. There's no coding, so it's easy to use and get started. It's also a huge time saver. You can create dashboards, you can create daily, weekly, and monthly scans for technical and fundamental data. It's a very powerful and pretty incredible tool. You can also receive a free trial to try it out before you buy it. Whenever people ask me about XLQ, I always tell them to get XLQ2. And the reason I think that people should either start out with it or upgrade to it is because there's so many more formulas and you have access to so much more data, including a massive amount of fundamental data. Now you can use free data sources like Yahoo, but why use EODHD data? Well, first of all, you have increased functionality in your XLQ2, and you have access to anywhere from 20 to 30 years or more of fundamental, technical, and financial data. EOD has some very reasonably priced, affordable plans, and they also cover a huge range of markets. When you combine XLQ2 and EODHD data, you have got two really powerful tools that can do just about anything. I use both, and they are a huge time saver for me. I'm able to scan and look at data that I want instantly without having to wade through anything extra that I don't want. Here's a really quick summary of some of the things that both offer. XLQ2, you can do equities, options, futures, forex, financials, fundamentals including dividends and earnings data, earnings targets. You've got international markets, cryptos. You can have information on bonds as well as funds. There are many data providers. Some lean more towards fundamental data while others lean more towards technical and real-time data. Some examples of fundamental data providers are AAII, Norgate, but by far EODHD has the most extensive historical fundamental data available. It also offers data from brokers like TD Ameritrade and Interactive Brokers. And if you need real-time intraday data, IQ Feed is very good. So you can have real streaming, you can have intraday, daily, weekly, monthly data, you can have all kinds of technical indicator data, and you can also have information on events. EODHD data, they have over 70 stock world exchanges, over 120K tickers. They've got just about every ETF and indice and forex pair you can think of. They have decades of fundamental data, end-of-day data, real-time delayed data, technical, intraday. They have screening data, they have economic data, and they also have a wide variety of API data platforms that you can import the data to. But like I mentioned earlier, what's great about XLQ is you don't need any coding experience. All you need to do is write a simple XLQ formula, and if you want to embellish, a simple Excel formula. I'd say what's most special about EODHD data is the fundamental data, the scope, and the historic look-back periods that they offer. They've got information on balance sheets, income statements, cash flow, earnings, sales, margins, upcoming earnings, analyst targets and information, dividends and splits. They've also got information on the constituents within that index and sector and industry group information for each ticker. They've got all kinds of company information and data, links to their websites, where they work out of, things like that. They've also got information on the IPO date, float information, options information including strikes, detailed chains, Greeks, and it has bond yield information. So the scope and depth of the information and data that's available is vast and extensive. Now when you get XLQ2, you get a demo, and on that demo there's tons of helpful information to get you started. Here's an example of some constituent data. Maybe you want to know what indice Apple is on. Well, you can get that information pretty easily with a simple XLQ2 formula and some EODHD data. Here's a quick view of some of the balance sheet data you can get. All kinds of information on the assets that they have, the liabilities and long-term debt. It offers information on income statements, gross profit, revenue, when they report. You can see the dates here. And when you click in the box, you notice a little formula up in the formula bar, and that's the formula that you would use. It's a template. It points the way. Obviously, some of the individual cell data is going to be different because everyone structures their workbooks a little bit differently, but it's enough to get you started. Here's an example of some upcoming earnings data that's on the demo as well. You've got the earnings date. You can look at the trends of the earnings statements. You've got information that analysts provide, how many think it's a strong buy or sell or hold. It's got a great array of earnings data. It has the estimates, annual and quarterly changes. And if you're a growth stock trader, earnings is something that you like to pay attention to. I've used a lot of different services, and at most you usually get about 8 quarters and 8 years of earnings information. But with XLQ2 and EODHD, you can get up to 20 to 30 years of data. It has an entire section on earnings trends, the high, the low, the average estimates for the earnings. You can also look back over a certain number of days, 90, 60, 30, 7 days ago, if you're interested in trending data. Some fundamental metrics that I'm always interested in are EPS, revenues, margins, and cash flow. And XLQ2 with the EODHD data has extensive information on cash flow, all kinds of information on receivables and inventories and expenditures, total investing cash flows. Pretty much anything you could ever want to know about cash flow is available. Another nice feature is upcoming dividends. Anyone who holds a stock or has sold a stock short should be aware of when the upcoming dividends are. It also has information on splits. A lot of times people won't want to hold a stock or an ETF if they're going to do a split or a reverse split. And this can keep you up to date on how often they do that and when it's happening. Here's another example of some of the dividend information that's available. There's also some helpful information on short interest. And you can see that each one of these pages, they have the formulas to get you started. Here's a close-up on some of the split information that's available. At the end of the year when you're doing taxes, when you have a stock that has split or reverse split, it can make your tax returns kind of complicated. I usually like to get out of something when it's going to split. There's also options information. You've got some options dates. There's Apple, Microsoft, and a few others. It can give you the date, the implied volatility, and all kinds of information based on different look-back periods. There's even detailed options chains. You can also get the option strike price. And the developer of XLQ has done a really nice job on these demos to kind of give you an idea of what some of the capabilities are, as well as what the formulas are to get you started. There's also a lot of extras with XLQ2. And by extras, I mean additional formulas that you can use. And some of the ones that I like, just to highlight a few, are the IPO date. I really like to know, especially when I'm trading growth stocks, am I trading a young company that's had an IPO date within the last 8 to 15 years. I also like to pay attention to industry group and sector information. And it's also helpful to know the website of each ticker so that you can go onto their investor relations page if you want and do a little research. I like to make charts with XLQ2, and aside from having the price information, I also like to have right under the price information on sales and earnings. I can look at them at the same time and get a sense of, are they trending along with price? Some of the extras that XLQ has are the trailing 12-month price sales. It's got enterprise value, shares outstanding, the float, the short interest, the short ratio, the short percent outstanding. It's got 52-week high and 52-week low information. These are all things a lot of traders use, although you might be able to find them in various places or various websites. It's so wonderful to have everything you want in one place, in one Excel workbook, in one Excel dashboard. Something that's completely customized to your trading style and that provides the information that you need and use on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. You can also see on this example that at the bottom there is some bond yield information for those who are interested in bonds. There's basically two ways of looking at information in XLQ2. One is you create an Excel workbook with the customized data that you want, and the other is the quick views. I call them Q views. In addition to these Excel formulas that you have, you can look at the same data in a different way in the Q view. If you're using EODHD data, then you go to the EODHD historical period view, and you can look at historical and upcoming data. You can filter the data. You can sort and filter the information so that you get the main movers. You can arrange the columns. You can even copy and paste the information from the Q view into Excel. You can review prior days information in there too. Just go to the bottom right hand of your screen and you'll find a Q icon. You click on it and it opens up this little pop-up menu. From there you go to View Data and then EODHD Period View. When you do that, this will pop up, and it's got a couple of tabs at the top. It's got the day, it's got dividend, it's got earnings information. You can click on each tab and look at the different data that's there. But also up at the top of the corner, you can change the date. So if you want to review the prior day's information, you can. You can look at today's data or go in the upper left-hand corner and you can change the date and look at the prior day's information. You see there's a lot of great stuff here. There's not just highs, lows, and close. There's the exchange it belongs to, the country it operates from. There's many, many columns that you can shuffle around and sort and filter if you want. Here's a quick look at the dividends tab. It has the pay date, the amount, how often it occurs, whether it's quarterly or annual or semi-annual. And you can drag and drop these columns and adjust it so they're in the order that you want. One quick click and you're onto the earnings tab. It's got information on when the report date is. That can be incredibly helpful if you're holding a stock. You want to know when they're going to report earnings, because that kind of a catalyst can really move a stock up or down. It's got the actual EPS, the estimated EPS if there's an earnings surprise. And again, you can filter to find stocks that you're interested in. You can arrange the columns. You can sort. All kinds of good stuff. There's another view you can get. You go to the lower right corner, right click on the Q, you get the pop-up menu, goes to View Data, and then EOD Historical Data, and then you get all of this information. It shows you all the stocks. Then you can click on any one of these and it'll produce a tab with all the information for each stock. The scope and the diversity, the information that you can get from this page is really phenomenal. Earnings, financial statements, dividends and splits, short interest, daily, weekly, monthly historic data, options data, and the index data. So if you're just looking for a quick summary, you don't want to build an XLQ workbook. You just want to have this information available to you that you can look at, that you can filter, that you can sort, and then copy and paste into something, maybe a watch list. You can do that this way. Taking a quick look at the historical data period, you can see that you can filter for exchanges. Maybe you're only interested in NASDAQ stocks. No problem. Perhaps you'd also like to rearrange the columns. You can drag and drop whatever category you want. In this case, percent change. You can see the movers, the big winners, the big losers. You can sort the data from high to low or low to high. Maybe you're interested in market cap. You only want larger cap stocks. You can type in the market cap that you're interested in. You can sort that from low to high, high to low. There's a lot of flexibility in this quick view. I'm always interested in percent change from the open. Maybe you want to limit the stocks to ones that are $30 or more. You can change that. You can also change the percent change to look for the big movers for the day, in this case over 3%. You can copy and paste all the tickers from this view into Excel. You can scroll and highlight with the mouse, or you can hit Shift Control and the down arrow to highlight all the tickers. Then you copy them and simply paste them into the Excel workbook with Control V, or you can right click on the mouse. Then go into the Find and Replace, find .us, replace it with nothing, replace all, and it removes the .us from your ticker column. Then you copy and paste the formulas you're interested in. Make sure you have the right formula. If you're not getting the correct information, you want to double check that. And then you can drag and drop that formula into the next column, provided that you have the correct rows and columns locked properly. You can go over to the demo, find the formula you're interested in, copy and paste it into the workbook, into your Excel page. Then you simply go over and make sure that you have the right ticker, look back period, and data provider cell reference correct. You can copy and paste from an old cell that you know to be right. Then format the data the way you want it, in this case a short date for the earnings report date. Highlight the cells, wait for the crosshair to show, and you can drag and drop that information down without having to write the formula in to each and every cell. Then you just wait for the data to load. You can also refresh the data by going into the Q pop-up, or you can look at the status of the data being loaded. Go to the data provider and you can see what the status is. You can also refresh the data by going into the workbook to the XLQ tab and hitting the Refresh All button. Now let's take a quick look at the EODHD period data. You can change the date that you're looking at, today or yesterday, whatever you want. You can refresh the data from there as well. You can add tickers. You can see there's a wide variety of data that you can choose from. You can sort and organize the columns any way that you want. You can filter the data in any of the columns. Maybe you want the high and the low information closer to the front. You can move that, no problem. You can also sort by exchange. Maybe you're only interested in NYSE stocks, and maybe you're only interested in stocks and don't want any ETFs. Well, you can sort that out, filter that out. And you can see there's a lot of extra columns. You can look at summary data, earnings, financials, all the choices in the middle of the page. In this case, AA, it had a quick summary. Maybe you're also interested in quarterly earnings. That will come up for the ticker that you've chosen. You can sort by fiscal end date or the report date, whichever you prefer. You can see there's a lot of great EPS information here. There's also the historic information, day, weekly, monthly. Again, you can drag and drop the columns where you want. For example, percent change, you can set thresholds for those columns. There's just a huge, wide variety of information. There's really just about something for everyone. And you can customize the information in the columns to fit your needs. And you can expand the view of the columns by simply grabbing the panel bars and pulling them and making them smaller or larger. There's so much great information here that can be customized and filtered and sorted to fit whatever trading needs you have. And it's ideal for people who don't want to build a workbook with the XLQ formulas. It's also nice to be able to copy and paste the data from here into an Excel spreadsheet. A few quick housekeeping things we're going to take a look at are preferences. Again, you go to the lower right hand corner, right click on the Q, you get the pop-up menu, and you want to go to preferences. You can see all the different data providers. If you had TD Ameritrade, you would click on that and you would enter your password and your username. Using EODHD data, you need to put the token in here. It's really simple. You just go onto your account page, find the token, copy and paste it into the preferences in XLQ2. You can also set all your preferences for whatever data provider you're using. When you look at the EOD historic data, you can see you have all kinds of information that you can check and adjust. Here is the EOD historical data settings page with your account. This is just a fake number I threw in there to give you an idea, but you go to your settings, there's your token, you copy and paste it. Also, something to think about is how much data you're using every day. They have this nice little gauge that keeps track of where you are in your data usage for the day. I check it from time to time. You can pause data retrieval. Maybe you're working on developing a new workbook and you want to just hold off on getting the data until you're done and you have everything the way you want it. You can pause it there, or you can refresh all the data. You simply click on it and you can refresh all, or you can refresh certain specific individual data providers. Another handy skill is knowing how to check the status of the update. You go down to your lower right hand screen, you find the queue, you right click on it, you get the pop-up menu, you go to view data and then status, and you get this little pop-up. And here's what you do. In this case, if you're loading EODHD data, you go to EODHD and you click on it in historic. And over here to the right, it'll tell you what it's doing, and it'll keep filling the screen with scrolling information until it's finally done and it will say no processing needed. Then you know all the data has been uploaded. You can save your workbook or your dashboard and you'll know that you have the most up-to-date data. But you can click on any one of the data providers to get information on the status. Now, when you get any new tool, there's always going to be a small learning curve, but there's a lot of helpful information on the XLQ2 website. The developer has a lot of resources and links and information that you can find, but so does EODHD. They have all the information on their exchanges, their currencies, their indices, some of the macroeconomic data that they provide, commodities, what the tickers are, bond information. They also have helpful articles and tutorial information on stock price data, financial data, the API data. And if you're still confused or you're not finding the information you want, they have a message chat that you can just hop onto and ask a question. The EOD historical data also has a blog that you can read. There's two different ways you can get help through the XLQ website and program itself. Is one, you go to the website and you can go to support or resources, but also in the pop-up queue there's help topics that you can click. Again, lower right hand corner, right click on the queue, the pop-up menu comes up, click on help topics. All the contents pop up, you can search it, you can look through it. It's really easy to find what you're looking for. There's a third place that you can find information on XLQ, and that's my website. I have a lot of free starter workbooks that you can use. I've also made a couple of XLQ tips and tricks videos. The first one is kind of a easy XLQ tips and tricks that everybody should know. The second one has got more tips and tricks. The focus is a little bit more on large workbooks, large data sets, how to manage and develop them. So in this video, I've just tried to touch upon some of the features that I think are pretty amazing about XLQ and the data that you can get from the EOD historical data provider. I've tried a lot of services over the years and many are very good, but I have to say with XLQ2 and EODHD working in tandem, it has the most extensive historical data that I've ever seen. The sheer variety of the data, as well as how many decades it goes back and covers, is really phenomenal. I often work with a lot of new traders who have a small budget, so I'm always on the lookout for free or really affordable services that they can use to help them get off to a good start. And another thing that's really nice about XLQ2 is, you don't have to be a computer expert. You don't have to even use the formulas or create a workbook. You can simply use the quick views that are available through the pop-up menu to sort and get data you want. So those are just a few things that I like about it. I've been using XLQ for many years, and I've been using EODHD for a few months now. And I run daily, weekly, and monthly reports. And I used to use the free data source, Yahoo, and it would take literally hours for the data to load onto my workbooks, onto my reports. When I switched over to EODHD, those reports are done literally in about 5 minutes. So I've been very happy and pleased with EODHD as my data provider. For those of you who are curious as to what you can do with XLQ, I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/zazencapital. I've made many videos on XLQ trading tools and dashboards. And as I mentioned before, you can also visit my website. I hope some of you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching, and good fills, everyone. If you found my free educational materials helpful, I encourage you to make a donation to the Children's Therapy Center, an outstanding nonprofit organization that helps children with special needs. You can also give without actually giving by using Amazon Smile. You can find more about the Children's Therapy Center on my website on the Principals page. You can find more free educational material on my website. Under the Education tab, you'll find helpful podcasts, chat room information, book suggestions, webinars, presentations, and helpful resource links. There's information on lessons learned and psychology, trades made, a dedicated section to trading growth stocks, market and stock analysis, and there's an assortment of videos on my YouTube channel. All this information is for educational purposes only, and the goal is to help you build a solid foundation that you can expand upon.